Everybody, what is going on? It is Crypto Bobby. I hope you are having a great day, great night, wherever you are watching or listening in from. And as already suggested in the live chat, what's going on, Mike? What's going on, Robert? What's up, Real Morford? Yeah, I am live, and we've had a pretty good day so far in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency land, unless you own Satoshi's eyeball. Pretty much green across the board, nothing massive, but green day across the board. But as always, as is tradition on Crypto Happy Hour, what you definitely want to do is to ensure that you bang a 100x long on BitMEX because I'm live. So, the market's going to do what the market wants to do. And really appreciate the time, everybody. Shout out to everybody tuning in on Twitch and Periscope as well. And the big news in the past 24, 48 hours is obviously Bitcoin, Satoshi's Vision, BSV, whatever we want to call it. And I think there's a lot that's already been said, so I don't want to, I don't want to beat it to death. One thing that just happened, though, was Kraken joined Binance and Shapeshift in delisting Bitcoin SV, BSV, and the whole saga has been somewhat of like a dumpster fire. As Dale Thomas just mentioned, it's pretty funny because you get to see the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency communities coming together in some respects to self-regulate on some pretty outrageous behavior in some standpoints. And then you have another side, another end of the spectrum of people out there saying, this is censorship and you are removing this is censorship. And on that end of the spectrum, I personally, out of everything here, I don't think this is necessarily censorship. I think that every exchange out there is a private, for the most part, these are private companies. They can do whatever the hell they want to do, and removing an asset from those exchanges, in my opinion, is not censorship. And other exchanges are free to list those assets as they see fit as well. It is somewhat nice to see people coming together in defense of, I think, what are pretty frivolous lawsuits. But one point to this entire thing is I think it is crazy how much the market follows Binance. And yes, Jorge, I went to New Orleans. Shout out, New Orleans was awesome. Really, really enjoyed it. Great food, cool city, cool vibes. I was out in the sun for like maybe 2 hours and got roasted. You should see my arms right now. They're red as shit. My arms are so sunburnt. But that's what happens when you are hiding inside in New York City for like 6 months, and then all of a sudden you go down south and there's like one ray of sunshine, and you're wearing a t-shirt and your entire arms look like you're a lobster. But hey, that's me. But so back to the point. Binance is interesting, and this is CZ. So I'd like to first commend CZ in some respects, because you can say what you want, but the dude sticks to his word for the most part. And he set the trend, and then he is such a smart, I think, business person in general, but he sets the trend where he basically put the pressure on every other exchange out there to do these idiotic Twitter polls and to do all this stuff of like, hey, what should we do about Bitcoin SV? What should we do about Bitcoin SV? When CZ was the one that set the trend and kind of, I don't want to say innovated, but in some respects did. Now, you can also go to the point that, hey, maybe BSV should have never been on Binance in the first place. That's a very valid point. Other exchanges out there, Gemini, I think one of the Winklevoss brothers was like, hey, we never had BSV on the exchange in the first place, so we never even had to deal with these issues. But looking at it at a very high level, it is still so crazy whether you're looking at IEOs with like KuCoin following suit, or, Huobi and all these other companies, all these other exchanges following Binance. And then you have Binance being the first one out there, basically putting themselves out there, and they could have gotten a lot of blowback for this. They certainly did in some respects, but Binance could have gotten a ton of blowback, and maybe it could have turned out really negatively for them, but they were willing to take a risk, and CZ did take that risk. And then you have the other companies that kind of come out and they wait for Binance to establish the trend. They wait for Binance to like see what the reaction was essentially to Binance, and they had great reaction, and then like, oh, okay, now it's safe. Now I'm gonna go do it. And to that, I think, I guess, if you are some of these companies now that are like, if you're Kraken or Shapeshift, or I'm sure the numerous others that are coming out and going to start the process of delisting BSV. If you are one of those companies, you kind of are in a little bit of a pickle, because you're just, I think at this point in time, it looks like you're just kind of following suit with Binance. But I think the risk reward of listing Bitcoin SV or just delisting it, I think the reward of having BSV on your exchange is much better, or I mean, it's much worse than just the slight risk you have of delisting it and maybe angering some people. So I think probably for a lot of exchanges, the smart move now is just going to be to take it right off of the exchange. And some of that might be, when you look at it, some people might say, hey, that's mob mentality, that's bad. It is what it is. That's the crypto kind of consensus. And it's also, I saw this referenced as well. Shooter McGavin, what's up to my singular Twitch viewer? If you're on Twitch, get on Twitch and follow me there. I would really appreciate that. But shout out to Shooter McGavin, the single Twitch viewer out there. But when you look at it, it is something where I think you have Bitcoin SV, and if you're one of these exchanges, it doesn't make a ton of sense right now to potentially avoid the negative blowback from your customers, and sucks, but I guess we'll see what happens with all of that. What's up, Adam Ventura? I appreciate that super chat. So taking a look at some of these questions here. Kieran says, how is expressing your personal and closely held beliefs that a token is a scam by delisting it censorship? I don't think that's censorship at all. I think the argument potentially, I guess everybody likes to throw out censorship in the crypto community, and I think that's one of the most abused and ridiculous words out there. Everybody, anytime somebody has an opinion that somebody doesn't disagree or somebody doesn't agree with, that's censorship. That's censorship. It's like, if somebody says buffalo chicken wraps don't taste good, I can't complain and say that's censorship. I know they're wrong. I know they're stupid. I know buffalo chicken wraps are the best thing since sliced bread and God's gift to the earth, but I'm not going to say that's censorship because somebody says buffalo chicken wraps don't taste good. I think that the high level issue of this being censorship is the exchanges delisting the coin itself. Maybe not necessarily the opinion, although I'm sure some people will extend that to Twitter users, saying, hey, we want you to go ahead and delist this coin. But when you look at it, in my opinion, these are private businesses, and there's been some interesting commentary. I forget, there were a couple lawyers, one in particular, I forget who it was off the top of my head, but they were kind of looking at the legal aspects of delisting a coin. But again, these aren't securities. So while there might be certain issues with the SEC and delisting coins from the Nasdaq, or not delisting coins. Jeez, my head needs to get out of this. Delisting stocks from the New York Stock Exchange or from the Nasdaq, and strict requirements on that. It's still the wild, wild west, So I don't see that as censorship. It's a private business, and if they want to list or delist something, that's their obligation to do so. D Barnes, what's up in Twitch as well, man? We got two people now. We're really lighting up a storm here. And despite claiming to be, so there's an interesting comment, I suppose. Despite claiming to be Satoshi, the biggest crap coin is Tether. So Binance is wrong, in my opinion, plus other crap coins they list. I hate Bitcoin SV, but this was a personal thing. I think, it certainly could be a personal thing. And I don't think there's, I think there's probably some element of, personal just thoughts on this. I mean, seemed like a personal / company decision from CZ and from Binance to do this. And again, they led the way and did this before basically anybody else did so, in kind of, I guess, support of some of the people that are going through some of the legal issues with this. So I don't know. There's obviously arguably a ton of coins, of tokens on Binance that are not of high quality. There have been tokens on Binance before that have been not of high quality. But that is, it is what it is. And Crypto at Night says this absolutely, I can't even speak English right now. I haven't even drinking anything today. But this is absolutely a personal thing. You don't pay to dox people and sue everyone. F that. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely something to look at. I mean, for me personally, I think the actions of, I don't want to get sued. Shit, I'm too poor to get sued right now anyway. But, I mean, I'm not too poor to get sued. I don't have much to lose, but I don't really want to get sued either. But when you look at it, I mean, I think the stuff happening was just absolutely outrageous. I really didn't like it. Yes, people say some outrageous things to the BSV guys. I think in many respects, the way they approach things, they kind of ask for it. Not saying that that's right, not saying that that's wrong. It is what it is. The cryptocurrency community in general, I think for better or probably for worse, is a very aggressive online community. People aren't necessarily nice on crypto Twitter, and you're, it's you. I don't know. It's pretty crazy. So Adam Ventura says, your coin is a shitcoin when Binance delists your coin before they delist Bitcoin Diamond. Strong point. Very strong point. I mean, Bitcoin Diamond, not exactly the highest of quality out there. And that's an interesting point too, WebDev Nuvi. So he says it's for the better that Bitcoiners are hard asses, and yes and no. I think you could make arguments both ways. I think that sometimes if you're not familiar with the Bitcoin community, it is not always the most welcoming community, and you could make the argument that because it's not the quote unquote most welcoming, holding hands, singing "Kumbaya" together. It's not necessarily the most welcoming community in that regards. How does global adoption happen if everything else is a scam, this, that, and the other thing? At the same point in time, is the community necessarily going to encourage global adoption at some scale at some point in time? Or on the other end of the spectrum, does it matter? Is it just the technology and the way this was designed that will eventually penetrate this to the masses? And at the same point, too, I look at what's happening with Ethereum now, and I kind of think everybody else is just a few years behind what's happening with Bitcoin. Bitcoin has gone through a lot where there have been a lot of either hostile takeover attempts or there's just been a lot of drama. There's been a lot of people that have been influential in the Bitcoin community for a long time that have gotten purged from the community either due to proposed changes or whatever it might be, whether it was SegWit 2x or increasing block size debates, or if they went off, did something else, if they had a business that was solely Bitcoin and they expanded that to other cryptocurrencies. There have been a lot of people that have gotten purged, either rightfully or not rightfully so. Core developers like Gavin Andreessen, Mike Hearn, people like that, they've essentially gotten kicked out of the community for better or for worse. But the same thing is kind of happening with Ethereum now, where you had a lot of these people with Ethereum that also Roger Vera, I see some comments there. But you had a lot of people with Ethereum that either kind of started in crypto, maybe they dabble their toes in Bitcoin. They were in on Bitcoin somewhat early, but they were in on the Ethereum ICO, and they've been there since day one. They're multimillionaires, whatever, at this point in time. And now they're having disagreements or they're looking for better opportunities elsewhere. And now you're seeing people kind of arguing about Polkadot, about Cosmo, about EOS, things like that. Just the Ethereum community as a whole. And then they're going through some of the same issues that the Bitcoin community is going through. And in some standpoints, they're as tribalistic per se as Bitcoiners kind of are. So when I do look at that, I do kind of think that it's a feature, not a bug. It kind of is like that strength of conviction and maybe the ability to purge people out of a community that you don't agree with anymore. Maybe that's just part of the game, and you can't expect everybody when there is so much money on the line, when there is so much at stake. You can't necessarily expect people to hold hands and sing Kumbaya all day long together. It's just probably not going to happen. So taking a look and reading some of these questions. I don't get why Bitcoin is so popular. It's slow and expensive. Well, here, I'll pull up this bad boy. This is a chart that I do think, there's a lot of people talk shit about Bitcoin, and there is something to be said about the security on Bitcoin. And so this is from CoinDance. This is the hash rates by network. Granted, this is not in the log scale. This is, you could see the security in the Bitcoin hash rates. This is Bitcoin, and then below you have Bitcoin Cash and you have Bitcoin SV. This is why Bitcoin is the most popular. This is why Bitcoin is the most trusted. This is why Bitcoin is the most secure. And I am not a Bitcoin maximalist, but when you look at certain things like Bitcoin Cash, BSV, you might as well be looking at Dogecoin in some respects. Yes, you can have very fast transaction times, but when you have very fast transaction times, is it coming with centralization? Is it coming with a lack of security? Is it coming with a blockchain that could be easily 51% attacked? There are other issues that you want to look at when you are looking at a decentralized cryptocurrency that is supposed to basically function as a store of value or as money. Other things to look at besides how quick or potentially how cheap it is to transact. Now, maybe those are adequate trade-offs for you. Maybe Litecoin is your move. Maybe Bitcoin Cash is your favorite thing in the world, whatever it might be. But you do have to respect the security of something like Bitcoin and the hash rate that it has, and the hash rate that it has maintained despite the attacks or despite the forks from Bitcoin Cash, BSV, whatever. 70% of hash rate in China. Ben, I know you're an XRP boy, so let's not go on to let's not go into that argument. Oh. Still love you, Ben. Still love you. So there's some good arguments, some good discussions, and I like to keep it halfway civil. And so yeah, I personally have been in crypto for a little bit of time. I am not a quote unquote maximalist. I do have the most conviction personally in Bitcoin in the long run. I also do think other cryptocurrencies out there serve very adequate and legitimate use cases. I work at AirSwap. It is built on Ethereum. I have experimented and used a lot of the Ethereum decentralized finance applications. I think that they're pretty awesome as well. There are a number of other blockchains out there that might have some elements of success in the future, but I am most excited personally right now about Bitcoin as a potential store of value in the future, as a censorship resistant store of value, and I'm very excited about Ethereum as well. And I also think the Lightning Network is interesting. It's fun. I like playing around with it. I have a couple Lightning nodes that I need to open up with you guys, or excuse me, not nodes, Lightning channels that I need to open up with you guys. But hey. Yet you hold complete trash. I like shitcoins. I am not going to sit here and say I don't like shitcoins. Like, hey, whatever. You want to come at me for that? Come at me for that. Persecute me. That's fine. Whatever. You don't like playing around with shitcoins? Don't play around with shitcoins. I'm not telling you to. Chris Smith, Bobby, did happy hour move from beer to vodka, or is that water? It is water. I'm trying to be halfway healthy right now. I ate a ton of. I think I ate gumbo once a day. I had the char grilled oysters in New Orleans that are pretty solid. The actual like raw oysters in New Orleans don't like as much as the East Coast or West Coast oysters. kind of a little bland. There's not that like saltiness. So that's one thing. But the char grilled oysters were bomb. And then on the other end of the spectrum, etouffee was awesome. I had shrimp boudin. That was legit. Crawfish were my favorite thing there, actually. Crawfish. I had the first night there. I had a crawfish boil. It was freaking delicious. And then I tried alligator. Not a fan of alligator. I mean, I ate the whole appetizer, but alligator, I guess I can see maybe why some people like it, but it wasn't my cup of tea at all. And shrimp po' boys. I went to, I think it was Johnny's po' boys. That was pretty solid. I liked it. So this is a really good question, Dario Ferre. We'll go to Coin Center. So Dario asks, how will cryptocurrencies ever be considered and used as a form of digital payment? The form of digital payment for the masses if they are taxed as properties in countries like the United States. So this is a very good question, and shout out to Coin Center. Shout out to Neeraj and the other folks that are bringing the heat at Coin Center. So, as some of you may know, as some of you might not, taxes in crypto are an absolute headache. If you want to spend anything in crypto, accurately recording your taxes like you're supposed to, reporting your taxes, you're supposed to basically, if you buy a cup of coffee with Bitcoin in the United States, with Litecoin, with whatever, with I don't care if it's Ripple, if you buy a cup of coffee in the US, that's a taxable event with crypto, and you're supposed to be reporting those taxes. So that is a really good point of how will cryptocurrency ever be widely considered used as a form of payment. And that is something that Coin Center and some other folks are working on specifically, is basically having a level of a threshold. I think what Coin Center was suggesting was around maybe $600. So if you were to, and this can be completely a complete mischaracterization of it, but I believe one of the suggestions that they had is that if you were to put a cap in place of it, I think it was a few $100s, maybe $600 if I am correct there. But basically, if you buy anything under $600 with cryptocurrency, you don't have to report that. So you buy a cup of coffee with crypto, you don't have to go to freaking TurboTax and record that or anything like that. So that would be a major step. But yes, we do, as mentioned by Obzen, I think we really do need pretty much full tax reform on cryptocurrency, because the way it is structured now is a mess. It is a nightmare. There are a lot of people that obviously use cryptocurrency nefarious. There are some people, I don't want to say a lot of people, there's some people that use cryptocurrency nefariously. But you could be the most genuine, truthful, I'm going to report every ounce of my taxes that I've ever earned in crypto. I'm going to report everything. And it is freaking damn near impossible. I'll pull this, hold on, I'll pull up this. Speaking of that, we'll pull up Phil here. So shout out to Phil Diane, who had his research published in Bloomberg recently. But so he pushed this out. The stack of papers I need to mail the IRS for the 2018 Form 8949 for cryptocurrency transactions is longer than Gucci Man's autobiography. Take a look at how many transactions Phil is sending to the IRS for 2018. If that is not a clear sign of, hey, we need cryptocurrency tax reform, I don't know what is. It just needs to be better. It just needs, this is not, I don't necessarily blame the government for not acting this quickly, but I think it's pretty clear, especially if there is a quote unquote another bull run. God, it's so sorely needed for tax reform on this stuff, just to make the process simpler. So people that actually want to accurately report their taxes, not get audited and have all this bad stuff happen to them, that they can actually do so without having to cut down the entire Amazon rainforest with a list of transactions longer than Gucci Mane's biography to get that done. Taking a look at some of the questions we got on here. So there's an interesting Gordy Boy. Working products are what I like, not shit like Bitcoin. I would say Bitcoin's been working for the better part of 10 years. So I think Bitcoin is very much a working product. Uh, Eunice, no, I am not teaching you about tax avoidance. No financial advice on that. Keanu, yes, I'm still working. Still work for AirSwap. Yep, it's been over a year at this point in time, but yeah, still work at AirSwap. Very much enjoy it. And so this is something too that I think, I don't know, and I'd be curious as well on this. How many of you, if you guys wouldn't mind sounding off in the comments, how many of you actively trade on decentralized exchanges? Are there any of you? It could be Uniswap, it could be AirSwap, it could be Kyber Network, Fork Delta, IDEX, whatever it might be. How many of you actually trade on decentralized exchanges? I would love to hear that. That if any of you actually do, because we'll dive into this research a little bit here. But this was something that so we see awesome to hear. Soup Miner AirSwap, Jonathan Rosen AirSwap. Keanu does not use Dexes. Drew Blaytart uses Dexes exclusively aside from Gemini. Here, IDEX. IDEX is definitely the big daddy in terms of ETH volume. Has been obviously Ether Delta in the past. Use the top on Dex Index. That's awesome to see as well. But so this is pretty interesting to hear and see. This is something that you guys definitely, if you are trading on InstaDApp, AirSwap, Uniswap, yeah, for sure. Awesome. Appreciate all those comments. So this is something I'll include a link to this in the comments right now. Use Crypto Bridge to get some Raven a year ago. So did I. And unfortunately, I sold it way too early. Shout out to me to buying Raven before it was cool and then selling it before it pumped. Good job, Bob. So this was research from Phil Diane and from a number of other researchers at Cornell. And one thing to think about when you look at decentralized exchanges is you want to be aware that there are some out there in the case of decentralized exchanges, specifically with Ethereum, where there's this kind of concept of front running where it's not necessarily front running in the traditional finance spectrum. And if you guys haven't read Flash Boys, I would recommend you do so. Flash Boys is a really interesting book. It's from Michael Lewis, I think, if I remember correctly. But Flash Boys was a fun book. Would recommend you read about it, or read it. It'll help you understand this concept a little bit better there too. But you have this concept with these decentralized exchanges where it's possible, depending upon the design of some of these exchanges, where somebody can actually see your order within the mempool and basically front run your order. It is a person, they can build essentially algorithmic trading bots. So it's not the exchange themselves, but because some decentralized exchanges are using on-chain on-chain orders and on-chain order books, what happens is if you are a sophisticated trader, if you are a software engineer, you can basically build a trading bot that will detect when somebody's order is on the blockchain and just hasn't been executed due to the gas price not being high enough. You can detect that order on there. You can pay a premium. You can basically buy that person's order and then sell that back to them at a premium and basically print money. And there are some bots out there that are doing this at basically to the effect of 500 bots currently making up to about $20,000 a day, according to Phil Diane. But really interesting article about this. And in the context of some of these exchanges out there, some of them, basically with some of them, you can't necessarily do this due to the way they're structured, whether it's the order books are not on chain or there's no, like, for AirSwap itself, the there isn't an on-chain order book, and it's peer-to-peer. So like a peer can't jump in front of another peer once the two are connected. But for some exchanges out there, once you kind of put it up onto the market, you get front run basically every time, which is kind of shitty. David Gelfand, where to get Maker MKR? I'm assuming that. So I know there's a couple good places. We have or AirSwap has Maker. I believe it might be on Kyber has Maker. So AirSwap, basically the best liquidity in a lot of respects for Maker is on the decentralized exchanges. So AirSwap has it, Kyber has it, Uniswap. I think Kyber and Uniswap. Actually, Kyber utilizes Uniswap's liquidity pool, if I remember correctly. And actually, I don't know if Coinbase listed it. They announced they were going to list it a long time ago, and then necessarily haven't. It has pretty low liquidity on KuCoin. It did for a while, but that was due to a trading competition. But I mean, if you ever want to know where something's traded, typically you can go to CoinMarketCap, click on that token, and then click on markets. I don't trust a lot of the data always from CoinMarketCap. Like, I don't know what BitLinka is. To be very frank, have no clue what BitLinka is. But if you go there, you can check out the markets. Just always be sure that you're looking at reputable exchanges, because there obviously is quite a there's quite a bit of exchanges out there that are doing either wash trading or transaction mining. And before you ever deposit funds on an exchange, you always want to be careful of where you're putting that money. Birdie boy, come on, Bobby. Bitcoin is a working product that hardly anyone uses. That doesn't make sense. So I mean, there's a lot of different metrics that you could really look at to determine Bitcoin usage, and whether that is unique wallet addresses, whether that is transactions, whether that is the fullness of blocks. There's also the different use cases that you'd want to consider as well. Are you looking at this as a quote unquote store of value, or a kind of censorship resistant store of value? Are you looking at this specifically from a payments perspective? Are you saying, hey, this is not PayPal yet, and we don't see merchant adoption at the level that I wanted? But I think any metric you look at in the long run, the signs do point positively to Bitcoin, and saying that nobody uses Bitcoin, I think, is a pretty silly statement in my personal opinion. Part to do. Remember when you sold alts before they mooned in 2017? I don't exactly remember that. I remember paying a bunch of taxes because I made a bunch of money in 2017, and then 2018 I lost a bunch of money. So Bobby, in the long run, can both Ethereum and Cardano platforms thrive? Either way, the Jets will still suck. Sam Darnold is the future. Le'Veon Bell is going to run for 1,600 yards and 800 yards in receiving. And the Jets will come in second place in the AFC East behind the Patriots. And they will make the playoffs as the sixth seed. And I don't know if Ethereum and Cardano can both thrive. I don't know. We'll see. I think Ethereum, the biggest thing that a lot of the other exchanges out there the biggest thing that the other exchanges, in my mind, have to overcome is the fact of lack of developer interest, or Ethereum's concentration with developer interest as a whole. So I think that's something that Ethereum definitely has a very, very, very solid developer community. Does Cardano have that? I don't know. It's definitely not as sufficient as Ethereum. I mean, I was in one of this is kind of funny. This is really the state of crypto conferences, but I was in one of I think it's the DeFi Telegram group, and somebody from IOHK, I think it was somebody from IOHK, But somebody from IOHK, I'm assuming somebody came in for the Telegram group, and their IOHK, which is the company that works on Cardano and also ETC as well. But IOHK, as many of you know, the CEO of IOHK. Do you know who I am? Charles Hoskinson. They have a conference. They have the IOHK Summit, I believe it is, but the tickets are like $1,200. So obviously the tickets for that are, I mean, that's a $1,200 tickets for a conference of that. It's ain't 2017 anymore, but comes in the Telegram group, and it's like, hey, the tickets are $1,200, but if you use this code, they're free. It's like, okay, now you can't give away tickets for free. Now, like, so that's, that isn't necessarily the best thing that you want to see, basically giving away free tickets if you are the IOHK Summit. And this could be somewhat of a slight mischaracterization, but I saw that with my own two eyes in the Telegram group. So I would think that is something to look at when you. But on the other end of the spectrum, you look at Ethereum's DevCon 4. I think the tickets sold out in like 10 minutes, if that, and there were like 4,000 people at the Ethereum conference there. So there's a really robust Ethereum community. Granted that if the technology does not scale in time, if the technology does not improve, if there continue to be issues with disorganization and other aspects of the Ethereum community or of the Ethereum development community, that might all be for naught, and they might have had, maybe Ethereum peaked in 2018 with developer interest. But for right now, that's still something you want to look at in every single smart contract platform. Is anybody else actually building on top of this stuff, minus the people that have massive bags of it? Uh, 5:25 p.m. What is going on, man? I work for, or Mrs. Ma'am, I work for a coffee roaster. We have a cafe. Does Bobby? Yes. I think we should start accepting Bitcoin. Can you buy a coffee with it? Comes up so often. I would definitely recommend. I would definitely recommend giving it a shot. I think there are a couple solutions out there that you could potentially accept Bitcoin or even other cryptocurrencies if you so choose. So that is definitely something that I would experiment and try and see if that that garners you any extra business. I mean, in my mind, I think it'd probably be a pretty limited uptick, but it would still be cool to go through that process. And as somebody that's watching this stream right now, I'm assuming that you have quite a bit of interest in cryptocurrency, Bitcoin as a whole. So why don't you go through that process with your coffee roastery and see if see, number one, how hard or how easy that process is to accept Bitcoin, and then number two, see if anybody actually does anything with it. So that'd be pretty cool to go through that process and see. And would love to hear which ones that you think would be the best. Those watching right now, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. Make sure to hit that like button. I also have an interview coming up tomorrow with for you guys. This is something that I would recommend. That I have an interview coming out tomorrow, or I'm actually recording it tomorrow. But if you guys have not checked out Lolly yet, I'll put a link to this in the description. But if you go to cryptobobby.com/Lolly, speaking of merchant adoption, this is pretty cool. Go to cryptobobby.com/Lolly, but I'll have an interview with the CEO tomorrow. So basically what do? You download a extension on your Chrome browser, and then what you can do is you can shop online at any of these stores, and then you get Bitcoin back. So you just literally earn Bitcoin. You don't even buy it with Bitcoin. You just buy it with a credit card. You just go through the normal process. You just install an extension, go through the normal process, and then you earn Bitcoin back. So if you're shopping at whatever, Walmart, online, Jet, SeatGeek, I use Bonobos because I buy all my clothes from Bonobos through them. Marriott, whatever, Hotwire, Priceline, like a ton of really good retailers, like not shitty retailers, like really good retailers. You do that, you install the extension, and you just go to the website once you create an account, and they literally just put Bitcoin back. If I pull this up here, I'll see if I could So I think it was, bought a few t-shirts from Bonobos, and I earned $4.32. Like I wouldn't have gotten that money back at all, but I earned 0.000 or 0.000832 BTC. So I earned $4 in Bitcoin. And again, if you enjoy supporting the channel in any respects, I would check out cryptobobby.com/Lally. That's my ref link, helps me out. But really cool, just product, again, going to the point of like user adoption. It's an interesting way to earn Bitcoin without having to mine, without having to do anything. You just shop with a credit card and you get Bitcoin. So it's pretty cool. As Kyle mentioned, absolutely $4.32 towards the next Buffalo chicken wrap. Oh yeah, shit. And shout out Dale Thomas. If any of you guys have not, what do we got? If any of you guys have not signed up for, what's it called? HXRO. I've been playing it today. They pushed out a new update. They opened up the beta list to a bunch more people recently. So Dale Thomas got, it sounds like Dale Thomas got his 100 HXRO tokens. If you want to sign up to play Moonrect, you can do that now. It's cryptobobby.com/rect. Again, get 100 free tokens. It's worth like $9. YOLO it, bet it all. I played a bunch today. I'm off the loser board, which is nice. I don't think I'm in the leaderboard, but I'm off the loser board. But shout out to the folks from Crypto Twitter that are on here. You got Panama Crypto. Who else we got? Trying to see Crypto Chimp, the meme master. Crypto Monk. This is the loser board. This is Crutches, you poor guy. Ken Bozak, a bunch of people. Loomdart. So just, if you want to sign up, play it. It's awesome. It's super fun. I was doing it. I was playing it before when Bitcoin shot through 5,100 all the way up to like 52, 5,300. But make sure to avoid the loser board as much as possible. You definitely don't want to stay there. So awesome to hear that you guys that signed up through that got your 100 HXRO tokens and hopefully getting a chance to play. As always, it's the little link on the bottom left, cryptobobby.com/rect. So 5:25 p.m. Another really good question. How likely is it that Bitcoin will add layer one privacy in the next 5 years or ever? And that's something that I think is a big concern for a lot of people, is the lack of privacy now on Bitcoin. It's definitely an issue. So here's one very initial solution. It's a small solution, but it's an initial solution. And this is Wasabi Wallet. I have not gotten a chance to use this yet, but I'm actually probably after this we'll download it and start playing around with it, and then also see if maybe I could do a demo for you guys so you can check it out too. I think it's always cool. A lot of the demo videos that I do seem to be some of the more well received ones. So I can demo this for you guys, show you how to set it up and go through that process, kind of like an unboxing of the Wasabi Wallet. Maybe if you guys are interested in that, would be happy to do so. Let me know if you would be interested actually in that in the chat. If you're interested in seeing Wasabi, which is a Bitcoin privacy focused wallet. But when you look at Bitcoin right now, Bitcoin is not a quote unquote very, I would say, private blockchain, because there are a number of companies and products out there that link anytime somebody has performed really a KYC'd action to a Bitcoin address. And it makes it very easy to determine behind the scenes who actually is behind what wallet. So you have things like Chainalysis, you have like Binance, Coinbase acquired that one company. I forget the name of it now. It's been like a month, which is like 8 years in crypto time. But the company, I think it might have been Neutrino that Coinbase acquired. You have Chainalysis. You have all these companies that work on basically doing analysis for the Bitcoin blockchain and other ones out there as well. And it makes it very difficult to kind of remain private on Bitcoin, because it is not private by default, and it's pseudonymous, but it's definitely not anonymous. And Wasabi Wallet is one kind of slight, I would say not kind of a stopgap solution or an initial solution, but in the long run, there are also solutions being worked on on layer one that I think could potentially enable privacy. The one thing that I think when you look at Bitcoin specifically, and then to maybe a lesser extent Ethereum, but Bitcoin specifically, because of the size of Bitcoin, because of the amount of, I think, value transacted on the network, and then really just the conservative, and I think it's to its benefit, the conservative nature of Bitcoin's development, the kind of slow and steady wins the race, because you don't want to, like the old Facebook adage of like move fast and break things. You don't want to move fast and break things when you don't want Bitcoin to be broken. You like that'll lose all trust. So taking a slow and steady approach does mean that things tend to move slower in Bitcoin, and it might take a longer time to eventually enable privacy, kind of at layer one, at the base layer with Bitcoin. But I do hope that that does get implemented in the long run, due to, with a variety of solutions that people are working on right now. I just don't know what that time frame might be. So it sounds like some people will be interested in the Wasabi Wallet demo, so I will definitely put that out for you guys as well. Would be happy to do so. I'll go through that from like a new perspective too, if you guys are, if you guys are interested in seeing kind of how that ends up running. But I will go through that from a new perspective, and we'll also pull up. I'll pull up the. I pull up the Casa extension as well, because some people have been asking about that, and I did go through the process of kind of restarting and reopening a bunch of my channels on the Lightning Network. So, oh, and you can see that I do have, I think, like 0.05 BTC and Lightning channels. Been playing around with that a little bit more. But if anybody is playing around with Lightning, would be happy to look into connecting with you guys and opening up a channel if you'd like as well. So at this point in time, definitely sound off with any questions that you guys have. I at some point in time in the near future, I think I'm making steak tacos for dinner. Did Hello Fresh, so we got steak tacos up, so that's positive. Big steak guy. So we got steak tacos up, but I'll take a few more questions before your boy starts eating. Your boy starts cooking dinner, because I am pretty hungry. But hey, barbecue wings here. That sounds delightful and delicious. What's up, Organic Fud? This is one thing. Oh, here we go. Guessing I missed the BSV sheeple. Yeah, you missed the BS. Oh, spiel. Yes. The beginning, probably the first 5-10 minutes. If you are late to the party, if you're watching after we kick things off, um, talked about BSV and kind of my thoughts at a high level. Try to give like the best of both worlds in like a non-biased way at first. But I would check out like the first about 10 minutes or so on the show. Jason, do you see a bull run anytime soon? Thoughts on XRP? I just got here. I don't necessarily know if I see a bull run anytime this minute. I think a few things need to happen before then. I also, when I look at XRP versus BTC, XRP has gotten its little baby face ripped off. XRP has an ugly chart in comparison to Bitcoin. You better hope it kind of has that level of support. Geez, at like 6,000 sats, it doesn't really look like very strong support at all. But I mean, that might be a level worth watching if it falls through. I mean, it went. You go back here. This was, I believe, in early to mid September of 2018. That was the Swell conference. It had a ridiculous run in like September. It went up like 100 something percent. And basically since then, it has done nothing but bleed out. And I don't see a ton of it's down at 40% against Bitcoin. So I guess not like terrible. I mean, a lot of other altcoins have bled out just as much against Bitcoin, but I'm certainly not a big XRP guy. I'm not a fan of it. Um, from just a long-term investing perspective, it's just never been my cup of tea. For some people it is. That is not me at all. On the other end of the spectrum, though, do I see a massive bull run coming anytime soon? What do I think will be the cause of said bull run? I think we need more infrastructure to be built out. I could see us chugging along here for quite some time hopefully above, if we can hold above $4,200 for a while, that'd be fantastic, especially above 5,000. I think we'll probably break below 5,000 again at some point in the near future. But if we can hold above $5,000 and just kind of slowly but steadily get some good narratives behind, and also have the tech kind of catch up and align with things, I do think that would be a positive. Also, I think a lot of people now were like super excited about Backed was one of them, and like the Bitcoin ETF. And I don't think the Bitcoin ETF is necessarily coming anytime soon, but if we could hold in a specific range for quite a while, if we could continue to build the proper infrastructure, if we could continue to cleanse out some of the shitty projects and some of the shitty scams that are in the industry and just kind of create a more respectable industry, I do think in the long run you would see, and you might see another kind of crazy parabolic run. The one thing when you look at it, in my opinion, though, is a lot of times these runs happen extremely quickly. So for me, like I like to have skin in the game at all times, because some of the runs, like the altcoin run in 2017, yeah, some of that was due to the ICO boom in mid to late 2017. But also when you look at what happened in the course of like mid December to the first week of January, like that was just basically a complete speculative mania that happened out of nowhere, or not necessarily out of nowhere, but just happened so fast that if you weren't in it previously, probably didn't really, wind up doing all that much with it, and you probably got your face ripped off. XRP is the standard. How is that BTC working as a currency at the moment with 2 to 3 hour transaction times? Bitcoin doesn't have 2 to 3 hour transaction times if you pay any level of a moderate fee. How is XRP working when Ripple Inc. owns all of it? Like, if you want fast transaction times, use Dogecoin. Like, get lost with that shit. Do you think 2018 Bitcoin OTC purchases will make a dent in the market? It's an interesting thought. The Bitcoin OTC market is definitely organic FUD. Thank you, XRP the standard. It is. With that $2, I shall buy myself XRP. I really appreciate the super chat, and I will definitely buy myself a nice heaping. How many XRP can I buy with that? Like 7 now? Buy myself like 7 XRP. But do I think 2018 OTC Bitcoin purchases will make a dent in the market? I mean, it's tough because the OTC market, for the most part, for every buyer, there's a seller. So I don't, unless somebody has some data that really directly points to large scale mass accumulation, and then kind of like dumping the other side of the house. But unless somebody can prove really large scale mass accumulation by numerous addresses or something like that via the OTC markets, I think OTC volume make sense and increase in OTC volume, because you're avoiding slippage and you're avoiding the problems that it comes down to executing trades on the exchanges, and the fact that smart order routing is just kind of starting to become present in the system and things like that. But I don't necessarily know if the increase in OTC volume in 2018 necessarily points, number one, to Bitcoin accumulation by quote unquote whales, and number two, would that accumulate, or would that contribute to a price increase as well? So two questions about a Bitcoin ETF. So I'll leave these as the last question. So hit that thumbs up button, hit that like button if you enjoyed hanging out with me for now. But yes, actually, no. I don't think we're going to see a Bitcoin ETF in 2019. I think we're 4.5 months or 4 months in at this point in time. I don't think we'll see a Bitcoin ETF. I think that's probably more of a 2020 thing. But if we can just get some level of stability and, like I said, some legitimacy in the space, and really let kind of things move slowly, I do think an ETF is very realistic in 2020. But 2019, I'm doubtful on a Bitcoin ETF. Obviously, if that happens, it is going to be very bullish for the price of Bitcoin. And because many cryptocurrencies are tied to the value of Bitcoin, it will be, in my opinion, bullish for the entire cryptocurrency market. But on the other end of the spectrum, I do not think that it is. I don't think that it's going to be a 2019 thing. There will be a moment. This will be the last question, because this is a beauty. Johnny Bull, what's up, brother? With the XRP logo as your logo, because that's when there's no bias there. No bias whatsoever when there's an XRP logo there. Johnny Bull, boy, a boy. While there will be a moment in time when the majority of early Bitcoin maximalists FOMO into XRP, when real utility volume and actual use case of 10 trillion annually locked into Nostro Vostro. Whoa, you're throwing out Nostro Vostro on me? That is, whoa. Yeah, Bitcoin maximalists are going to shit their pants when you throw out Nostro Vostro. And I think that is really going to lead to maximum adoption. The utility of XRP is okay. The utility of XRP is second to none, and it will overtake Bitcoin. It will overtake Ethereum, and it will actually be, I think, most likely the default cryptocurrency of the world, and also the default cryptocurrency of the 2020 Olympics, because that is a petition on change.org. But yes, I think that once we realize the locked up value, $10 trillion in Nostro, Vostro, Mostro, all the Bitcoin maximalists, I think, the ones that haven't switched over to Bitcoin SV, because we all know BSV is really the true Bitcoin. But I think they're all going to move, definitely. I think they're all going to market sell their Bitcoin and buy XRP, because that, my friends, is true peer-to-peer electronic cash that is not controlled by any one entity, especially Ripple Inc. But hey, that's just me. All right, well, I am done with my not serious at all rant on XRP, but I'm starving, and I apologize, Johnny Bull. I apologize, Johnny Bull. Actually, don't. I like joking around with people, and that's always fun. But Johnny Bull, my apologies. XRP, no Bitcoin maximalists will move to XRP. That is an idiotic statement, and for that, I am sorry. But I am very hungry, and I have steak tacos on deck, and I'm about to cook the shit out of some steak tacos, make a delightful meal, and take all my super chats, and then buy XRP with them. So, hey, let's have a good time. Appreciate everybody joining for Super Chat, or for Crypto Happy Hour. Thanks to everybody tuning in on Twitch, on Periscope, and on YouTube as always. Hit that thumbs up button if you're watching on YouTube, and if you're new to the channel by any chance, make sure to subscribe. Crypto Bobby signing out. Hope you have a good one. Peace.